Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, Bachelor Recap host and stand-up comedian. Let's get right into it. I'm going to be playing your voicemails. That is right. We got Liam Neeson here in the movie Taken, frantically on the phone. That's how I feel every time I play one of your voicemails because there are so many of them. And we are talking about After the Final Rose. So let's get right into it. If your voicemail is over a minute long, I can't play it. That's just how it's going to be. This is, let's start it off.
Calling from West Virginia. I think if he really loves Rachael Kirkconnell, he should just get back with her, hold on tight, and move forward together.
Get back with her, move on tight, get back with her, hold on tight, and move forward together. That's a thought. Let's go to Alabama.
Calling from Alabama. I do think that Rachael could have included and given some of the blame for her actions to her parents because that level of racism is taught in the home as a child. And so they do share some of the blame, and that's why she was just ignorant of the matter. And I applaud her for her apologies. And as with her, I hope listeners learn a lot. Thank you for the opportunity to give my opinion.
Of course, calling in from Alabama says she should give some of the blame to her parents. And I think while they did raise her, they do deserve some of the blame. I think by placing the blame in any direction, she's going to come off to a certain people that she's making excuses. So you got to give her some credit for not blaming anybody else, even though you have to think the environment you are raised is very crucial in sort of molding who you are as a young adult.
Calling from Palm City, Florida. For most of the season, I thought Matt was the most impressive of all the Bachelors throughout the entire Bachelor series. However, the way that it ended, Matt left me disappointed. From the beginning, Matt seemed to have it all together. He demonstrated maturity and wisdom beyond his years. I've never seen a Bachelor open the season with prayer before, which was also impressive. Everything changed after Matt had the conversation with his mom. Apparently, Matt still has some relationship issues to work through. My disappointment stems from Matt professing his love to Rachael, but then not fighting for it. True love is not a feeling, it's an action. It would have been a loving act for Matt to help Rachael understand his world. Instead, Matt has bailed on her to figure it out on her own. It was tough to watch the way it ended, but as Rachael stated in her post, things happen for a reason. I hope they both grow from this experience and eventually find their true loves. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the phone call. You're thinking that Matt should fight for Rachael, if I could paraphrase you right there. I appreciate your phone call. Linda from Dallas, Texas.
Hi, Dave. This is Linda from Dallas, Texas.
Hi, Linda.
I just watched your Bachelor recap from the last Final Rose. And I know you mentioned there that you were wondering what Matt meant when he said he doesn't want to be responsible for Rachel's tears. I think what he was trying to go for was just he was going through so much that he didn't want the pain that she was having to be his responsibility to fix, right? Because she put this on herself. She caused it, so he wanted to make sure that through the breakup and through his actions, he wasn't holding himself responsible for the things that she did, and he didn't want to feel bad for breaking up with her because she brought it up on herself. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Linda,
love your videos.
Thank you so much for answering my question. Thank you so much for that. And, my whole thought is like, and maybe this is just because I'm a codependent and I'm always trying to please everybody, which by the way, makes reading comments very brutal for me. Because like right as I'm about to go to bed, someone leaves a comment saying, "You're the worst." And I'm like, don't do that, Dave. Don't read comments. I think we should all do that where we don't go on the internet like 2 hours before we go to bed, but I digress there. But thank you for that comment. Cause I would want to help Rachael through it. That's just what I would want to do. And I understand the healthy boundaries he's setting there.
Ontario, Canada, and you talk too much. Please, don't talk so much. I need to hear what is the, something final. I watched the show last night and I wasn't happy. but you're talking so much.
Oh boy, how do I star that one? Oh, here I go saying I don't like the negative comments. You're talking too much on your channel. Thank you for that, Ontario. Let's see. This is a blank voicemail I'm playing right now. Someone didn't have their mute turned off. Let's go to Connecticut.
From Connecticut, I'm so glad I found this number. I just had to get this off my mind. I was talking to the TV all night. He's a wuss. Matt is the wuss. He let his mom and brother talk him out of getting engaged. No engagement, no marriage comes with a guarantee that it's going to work. And then he's a sap. He couldn't forgive that poor girl. What kind of a man is he? He's not a man. He's a mouse. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Breaking news here. Matt James is a mouse. Listen, thank you for the call, and I'm glad you were able to get that opinion off your chest there. All right, let's go to Jennifer in Georgia.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I live in Georgia. And I wanted to say about Rachael on the Bachelorette. She never said that she had those feelings. He kept saying that you don't get rid of those feelings. She never said she was against Black. She lived in Georgia. She lived in the South. It was a part of it. I get that she looked like she stood for it, but she was with her friends having fun. I don't think it even entered the picture that she didn't like Black people or racism or anything about that. And that was about what she did 3 years ago. You change monthly. So I don't think he got the fact that she wasn't saying she was against Black people, even when she was at the plantation. Maybe her actions and the stupidity, I'm glad she's not denying that, but that's not who she is. That's not who she's about. And I don't understand. I do get we have to accept his feelings, but I don't think he's understanding everything. I think he's listening to family and friends, and he's not truly listening to her. But I could be wrong. That's just my opinion.
Appreciate
it. But I live in Georgia. I live in the South, and there is no excuse for the ignorance. We all should be more on top of things. But I also think things are taken sometimes out of that anger because he is Black and putting it more towards her. I see wrong in both, but thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jennifer in Georgia. And I have to reiterate, I really do appreciate every single phone call. I really do. The ones I agree with, the ones I disagree with. I think these are healthy conversations because we can't live in an echo chamber where we assume everybody agrees with us. You could really disagree with a lot of these phone calls, and that's fine. You can agree with some, disagree with some, but the fact that we all come from different viewpoints and have different opinions, it's at least a starting point, right, guys? Thank you so much, Jennifer from Georgia.
Calling from Connecticut to let you know we love Chris Harrison. The show won't be the same without him, and it wasn't fair what happened to him. So I hope this is all going into consideration when they decide to bring him back, hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, calling from Connecticut. You know, whenever I get a phone call from New England, it makes me miss my family because I can hear the same accent. And you guys can't probably hear it, but there is such a distinct accent I hear from Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Listen, Chris Harrison will, I'm assuming he'll be back probably for Bachelor in Paradise. That's my assumption. That's what I think is going to happen. But we will see what happens. Let's go to Linden, Texas. We may have been listening. We already talked to Lynn. I have so many phone calls, so anyone who's called twice, I just have to try to get the first phone call.
Hi, Dave. This is Chloe from Edmonton, Canada. I love your channel, and I love seeing you grow.
Thank you.
I just had a couple thoughts real quick. One being that I do think Matt seemed very unready, and watching his poor communication skills was so painful. I think that, he wasn't the most genuine Bachelor I've ever seen. I think that's why he had so many perfunctory answers to the women opening up to him about, important topics and always saying, thanks for sharing. But I don't think he should be villainized for for not wanting to be with Rachel. I think that, if I were dating someone, I have to, I'm a white woman, but trying to put myself in his shoes and understand, I'm trying to think like, okay, if I were dating a man and just a few years ago he was posting or behaving in a sexist manner, that would be a big deterrent in our relationship, especially if he didn't strongly denounce those actions and wasn't able to communicate why he was strongly denouncing those actions. So I get it, and only they know the conversations that they had, but I think it's also very fair to assume that he wasn't ready. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Chloe in Edmonton, Canada. Thank you so much for the phone call. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to barrel right through these. Thank you so much.
Hey, Dave. I'm a cis white woman, and my lane is encouraging other white folks to develop anti-racist practices.
Yes.
One of which is self-reflection. I have a few questions for you to reflect on if you choose. One is, am I commodifying Black stories, lived experiences of Black and brown people? Am I commodifying Black pain? Am I telling stories that aren't mine to tell? And how am I benefiting from Black stories and Black pain? And every time I hear you say, I don't know, it seems like a red flag, something for you to track. And when you say that, is that an area for you to do some learning, some deepening of your awareness and ability to hold space for those topics? Peace.
Thank you so much for the voicemail. If this was a phone call, I would ask you to reiterate the second part about the red flags. I make several hours of content a day. I don't know exactly what you're talking about with that, but as far as commodifying, let me just reread. So these voicemails come in text form, so I don't want you to think I'm dodging any part of this. One of which is self-reflection. I have a few questions for you to reflect on. If I choose one, are you commodifying Black stories, lived experiences of Black and brown people, and commodifying Black pain? I don't know. I'm not the smartest person. I don't know exactly what you're asking. So let me try to answer that. I think in recapping The Bachelor and all that's in the Bachelor universe, we use the stories that are shared on the show as a baseline for us to discuss human condition. Earlier this season, there was talk about Brittany Galvin potentially being an escort, the slut shaming and shaming of sex workers is a topic that we talked about. We've also talked about in the past different types of substance abuse, racial issues, obviously gender issues, things like that. So am I commodifying these stories? I think I'm coming at them from a perspective of, and again, I don't know if you're asking me personally or if these are blanket questions, so please call back if there's anything I'm not touching on here. But I think I come from a place as a white guy from New England. There's a majority of audience that's white. So I think by someone like me diving into these topics, I'm helping deconstruct my biases. I'm helping deconstruct ways I might think about it. And in doing so, might be shining light on someone who thinks and looks like me. Does that help answer it? So it's a discussion I think is important to have versus, and I don't think you're asking me this, people that just say, oh, it's not your time to talk. Well, if that's the case, then let's just close the laptop and go home for the day. I mean, I am home. But my point being that there's a time for all of us to talk and talk to our people. And when it comes down to being anti-racist, that isn't a passive action. That's something that you have to do, and you have to turn the mic on and you have to talk it out. Does that make sense? Cheryl in Santa Clarita. Thank you so much for the call, though. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it is Cheryl from Santa Clarita. I am commenting late because I'm just now watching your Bachelorette Revealed YouTube episode, and I didn't want any spoilers, so I waited until after last night's show before going back and watching all of the spoilers.
Very smart.
That you had on YouTube. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say, and I hope no one else has commented because, of course, I'm late. But I just wanted to say, wouldn't it be so interesting if on my darling, darling, darling Michelle's season, because I love Michelle, wouldn't it be so great if Matt showed up to try to win her heart? Dave, is that like far-fetched?
I love your laugh.
That would be so great. I mean, he should have chosen her to begin with, but what if he's like, thought about it, and he sees what an imbecile he was not to have chosen her, and he shows up on her season as a spoiler in the house, and they end up together. Or maybe she's too good for him at this point. I don't know. Anyway, gotta go. Hashtag flick the bean.
Flick the bean, Chloe. Go out there and flick it. Double click that mouse for me while you're at it. Hit the like button. Bump your Harrisons. You guys, you can handle the truth. You can handle it all day long. That would be interesting. I think she's at the point where she needs to move on and recognize that her energy is one that is going to be very attractive to some great men. Not to say Matt James isn't great. I think their chemistry was amazing. I think he is just caught up in a tornado of BS, and I don't think it's going to die down in time for him to be ready to pursue Michelle, especially since he hasn't closed the door on Rachael. There was a 2.5-minute phone call. I can't play it. Sorry. Here's a short one.
You were calling from Florida, New Jersey.
Florida,
and
New Jersey.
I think ABC should be ashamed of themselves how they bullied that girl. It is disgusting and an outrage of how people should be treated. If they treated her the way they wanted it to be treated, it was just wrong.
Erica, North Carolina. Let's go to Erica. I just don't have time to respond.
Hi, this is Erica from Durham, North Carolina, and I am a relatively new subscriber to your channel.
Thank you.
I actually just recently got finished watching your recap of the finale and After the Rose for this episode, and I wanted to call and say that I truly appreciated you using your increasingly growing platform as it pertains to your commentary surrounding social injustice and the plight of the Black American. It's greatly appreciated. Hearing Matt and Emmanuel talk through this thing was really obvious. It definitely hit home for me as a young Black female. When I was back in medical school, I went into the room of an elderly white male patient, and I could tell immediately that he did not want me there. He was very cold, very short with me. But by the end of the conversation, we were both laughing. But when I went to leave out, he said, "You know what? You're really good for a colored one." Oh. And it's those type of comments that I know people who do not look like me and don't have my experiences may not fully understand the effect that those type things have on people like me. But it's really encouraging to see that you're using your platform to educate others. So I pray that it continues to grow and that you keep going. Great job. Thanks.
Oh, Erica. Oh my gosh, that voicemail just got to me. Wow. I'm doing a 5-hour live stream later. I really shouldn't burn off all of this energy, but wow, that got to me because you're telling me, you're about to tell me a story about this old man and you guys have this real strong connection, and then he goes and it's almost like when you think you're getting to like a parent or a relative who's got like a very like bigoted point of view, and then you have a good talk, and then at the end of it they say something, and you're just like, oh man. It's like just like Emmanuel Acho says with his book, how like people say like, oh, you speak well for a Black guy, like that. He would say stuff like that, and you go, oh, and it's like the compliments, the intention seems to be there, but it's like, how do you even take that? Thank you so much for the phone call. And please, Erica in Durham, North Carolina, please call back. I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much for that. Grace in Atlanta. We love Grace.
This is Grace from Atlanta again. I just wanted to say that I love your content, but also I really appreciate that YouTube lets me speed things up because I regularly listen to you on 1.75 because it allows me to see all of your awesome videos in a reasonable amount of time. Have a good one. Bye.
You're telling me as fast as I talk, you're listening at 1.75 times as fast as I talk? Grace, I can only imagine how I sound to Grace Atlanta. Hey, Dave, Bachelor Recap, guys. Here's Dave Neal here with their soul. Okay, thank you so much for that phone call. I appreciate it. Let's go to Katie calling from Santa Cruz, California.
Hi, Dave. This is Kay calling from Santa Cruz, California. And that's first of all, I wanted to say you're great.
Thanks.
Love your show.
Stop it.
Just wanted to comment on last night's AFR and say that I really think Rachael is great. And I think she's handled herself beautifully and with dignity. And I truly believe she loves Matt. And I think he needs some therapy. I think he's got a lot of stuff going on with his father and with the role he was put in on this season, all the responsibility of being the first Black Bachelor. And I really think that he loves Rachael, and I hope that they can get it together because I think it really was undeniable chemistry. So that's how I feel, and I definitely think he's affected by all of the internet stuff and all of the pressure. So I hope he can step away and give her a chance, and I hope they make it. Anyway, that's my message. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To respond to that, people have said like, oh, like what's going to happen with them? And I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, Rachael, I love you. Let's just come back in 2 months and see if the dust settles and if we can have a conversation and if the pain goes away, because it must be hard for him to understand to separate the pain from the community's reaction to him from the pain from her. I mean, it's only like one hormone that makes us feel that, right? It's not like I don't know if the body can really differentiate between the different types of pain. So if your body's on fire, you're just trying to put the fire out. You know what I mean? And I hope if he does get therapy, he's invoices that directly to Bachelor producers.
Hey, Dave. This is Shay from St. Louis.
Hi, Shay.
I just wanted to talk about the After Roast special and just how heartbreaking it was for Matt and Rachel K. I'm hoping that eventually with some time and space and privacy that at least they can get closure, because I feel like Matt just needs some time and maybe therapy and effective ways on learning how to communicate as a young adult. And eventually he'll be able to have proper conclusion with Rachel, and hopefully also in the future with any other future spots that he has. And I kind of wish that the editing of the After Roast would have been done a little bit better. What's up with Bree not being in there? Just like Kelly, it kind of mysteriously disappeared. But I'm excited. Bachelorette is coming up. We get Katie. So I'll be watching it then. You guys have a good one.
Thank you so much for the call. Yeah, Bree got stiffed on that deal for sure. Hopefully they paid her enough money to deal with that baloney. But I absolutely agree with you. Matt could use the therapy. He'll be a stronger person from it. He'll be stronger. He'll come out on top. But it is too bad what they weren't able to get him a season that fully represented who I think he is as a man. And people say he wasn't ready for marriage, and it's like, well, I don't think he was ready for the BS that they put him through. So it's hard to even know. It's hard to know if he was ready or not.
Hey, Neal, this is Emily calling from Boise, Idaho.
Hey, Emily from Boise.
And I just had a realization. Why wouldn't they have made Mike Johnson from Hannah Brown's season The Bachelor? Why pull Matt from Claire's cast and not go with Mike, who everyone likes and who was a fan favorite? I just don't understand. Let me know what you think.
Listen, nobody understands. Everyone wanted Mike. No one understands why. Maybe he was critical of the franchise in certain ways and they didn't want that. No one knows. No one knows why. Yeah, they should have gone with Mike Johnson. He was a fan favorite.
Hello, Dave. This is Roberto Rico from Puerto Rico.
Roberto Rico.
I'm very upset about the fact that Matt James will not forgive Rachel K. I think her apology was sincere, but he was so cold with her. The irony is that he started the season with a prayer that impressed most of the girls. But what kind of Christian is this guy? He will not even embrace her. But Asher told her to do it, Also, if he did not love Bree, Michelle, or Rachel, why he has sex with some? He's not a gentleman. He's a sophisticated womanizer. Bye.
Wow. Roberto Rico from Puerto Rico. What a name, by the way. Can you imagine meeting you? I am Roberto Rico from Puerto Rico. What if my name? That'd be like if I was Dave Island from Rhode Island. I don't know. I'm stalling here with jokes. It's called a flat tire. Well, you question him and say he's a sophisticated womanizer. And I don't know who he had sex with in the fantasy suite, so I can't comment on that. And you're questioning his prayers and impressed the women up front, but then he didn't. Who is he as a Christian? Look, hey, yeah. I mean, I guess solid questions. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what was going through his head through it all. For all we know, he was tight-lipped because he didn't want to share damaging info about Rachel. For all we know, we just don't know. Yeah. But thank you for the call, Roberto Rico.
Listen, David, the productive conversation.
Okay, I can't do phone calls if there's music on in the background. There's too many calls. So if you call in, just make sure it's quiet and I can hear you. Thank you.
Hey, Dave. This is Sarai calling from Napa, California.
Hi, how are you?
I've been thinking about a lot of what I was going to say. Really wanted to make my point across. I was once in an interracial relationship, and it just didn't work out because he wasn't ready for the commitment, and he was ashamed that I was white and then he was black. He never wanted to see me in public. So I have that experience. But also with Matt, he also has a lot of work to be done, as well as Rachel. That's just my take. All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you for the call in Napa. I can't speak to your relationship. Obviously, that's anecdotal. But when it comes to interracial relationships, of which I have been in, I think every situation is different. And it really, you have to be open to other cultures. You have to be open to other experiences, and also realize you'll never truly understand the world that someone else has walked through. As we know with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, he wasn't aware of so many issues until he dated Meghan Markle, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, this is on our doorstep. This is insane." So it's eye-opening, and you just don't know until you know.
So I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. I think that Matt's confusion came from his mom. She was so terrified that the person that Matt selected was going to be a horrible person and treat her son real bad, and the marriage was going to turn out to be just like Matt's dad treated her. That's two different situations. And she also told Matt that love fades. No, her love relationship faded. That did not mean that Matt's was going to fade. And she got in his head and messed him up.
Isn't that what moms are supposed to do? Don't moms get into your head and mess you up with best intentions? But I don't disagree with you. Let's go to Napa.
Hey, Dave. It's Sarai again from Napa. I just had a thought. Matt kept on mentioning that Rachel could never understand him as a black man and his blackness. And as a white person, I know I'll never understand what it's like to be a black person, but I can empathize to what they go through, and knowing that I'll never understand, never experience a fear of them walking around, not knowing if someone's going to accuse them or look at them differently. So that I understand, but the way he broke up with her, especially on the phone, that's not right. I always would like someone to break up with me in person if they're able to. Anyway, that's my thought. All right, have a good night. All right, bye.
So empathy, the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling, it is very tough. It is very tough to truly imagine. We can always try our best, but that's the hard part. That's where it goes like, do you know how I feel? Do you feel bad for me? But do you really know what it's like every day to wake up this way, Arizona.
I'm calling from Arizona. Hi. And I just have to say that this was the worst season we've ever had. And the whole idea that, there's racism against him, it's just all wrong. It's all in his head. If he felt pressure because he's black, nobody cares about the color of his skin. People care about how he acts, and the fact that he was the worst bachelor in history and took the torch away from Juan Pablo. I'm not impressed, and I'm never watching the show again.
Well, it wasn't a good season. We didn't get the sort of clarity we all wanted.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Tasha. Big fan. This is Rebecca calling from DC. I just wanted to say that I'm excited for Michelle and for Katie.
Yeah.
But with regards to Matt, I wanted to say that I found it kind of unfair him telling Rachel that she doesn't understand his blackness. I think that's pretty obvious,
So I think it was just a cop out for him not to stay in a relationship. He didn't seem to want to be married.
Maybe he didn't want to be married with all that baloney. I'm moving my camera here so I can just stand up for a second here. Stretch my legs out. I got to get ready for this 5-hour live stream. We're going to have a long one today. So there's got to be nimble.
Hi, Dave. I'm calling from Colorado. I'm not sure if you've seen the extra TV interview between Rachel Lindsay and Bree Springs about the whole after the final rose and her part, and also that there was at least 7 hours of conversation that was actually taped but wasn't aired because they had to cut it down to 1 hour. So she said that whole interview took.
Oh, I lost you there.
7 hours between the whole thing with Emmanuel, Michelle, and Rachel, and Matt. So there is a lot of content that was left out. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that. If you go watch the extra TV interview between Bree and Rachel Lindsay. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I didn't check that one out, so I'll have to get into that one. But thank you so much. Let's go to this Robin here from Biloxi, Mississippi.
Hi, my name is Robin. I'm calling from Biloxi, Mississippi. And what I thought was really interesting in the after the final rose between Matt and Rachel was it seemed like it was her initial response to the stuff coming out and why she didn't see that it was problematic that really shook him. But ultimately, Matt just wasn't ready. He shouldn't have been the Bachelor, and it was kind of a waste of a season other than all of the conversations that come out of it. All right. I'm enjoying your content. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. We really don't know what went on with Matt James and Rachael Kirkconnell. Although you shouldn't be surprised to think that she wouldn't find something offensive at first, because that's kind of how the cycle goes. You don't know something's offensive in some cases until you do. I've been called out for offensive behavior and I go, let me get back to you, but let me try not to respond right away because I don't want to come off the wrong way. Someone like Taylor Nolan, you don't want to come off that way as super defensive and all that because, then you're going to look even worse. All right, here we go. Patricia.
Hi, I'm Patricia. It's nice to hear your voice, Dave.
Thank you.
I have an idea. What about if Rachel and Matt James don't get together again, get back together and do a reconciliation like Rachel and Michelle? That will teach us the world that everything, when you love, can move forward and get stronger as a couple, as a friendship, as a world. So that would be great. Thank you. Keep the good work. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. You can really tell the love of some people through their voice. And Patricia, you just sound like you sound like a good person. You're just preaching for love and reconciliation. And yes, we can always use more of that. Thank you so much for that phone call. I really appreciate you.
Hey, Dave. It's Claire from Canada.
Hi, Claire.
I just wanted to comment on the breakup between Matt and Rachel. When I was watching after the final rose, it really seemed to me like Matt ended the relationship because Rachel didn't know why what she had done was offensive. And I think you've talked about that. But I got the feeling that it was so bad, like she really didn't understand what she had done wrong. And any conversations that they had about that were probably extremely hurtful to Matt. And I don't think we're ever going to hear what went on in those conversations. But, I really got the feeling that he didn't break up with her because of her past. I think he broke up with her because of her reaction to the backlash. Anyways, keep up the great work, Dave.
Claire from Canada, thank you so much. And it's a good like hypothesis, but also like there's so many blanks we're filling in, and that is probably one of the most common things that has been said, like the way he's looking at her, like clearly things were said that we don't know about. But again, we just don't know. We don't know what that was. She's saying all the right things on Instagram. She's acting and talking as if she's learned her lesson, but maybe it was too little, too late. Let's go to Josh here. We love Josh over here in Boston. Let's see what Josh is up to.
Hey, Dave. This is Josh from Boston.
What up?
At the start, I want to say I have a rule. I'm not going to, as a black man, I'm not going to publicly chastise or verbally reprimand another black man or black person, in general. I'm not going to do that publicly. So I'm going to try to walk a balance here. I think people forget all that Matt went through in this season as the first black male lead, and having all the drama with the contestants, getting his heart broken, breaking others' hearts, then dealing with all of this racism at the end, etc. And it doesn't excuse anything that he did, and there's a weight of responsibility that he has that he needs to accept. But I think also people should realize that a man only has, so much willpower.
Yeah.
And people need to know when to say when. And he fell in love, presumably for the first time, and then he ends it. And I'm sure he and Rachel are likely going through immense pain. I think we should take a closer look at the pattern of behavior of Matt and how it does or doesn't align with the relationship that he has to his father and mother, because I think those conversations were the most pivotal and impactful conversations of the season, at least from what the producers showed us. And also, it's very interesting how little help we had from the producers, yet this still was a almost tragically poetic season. And I think what was more poetic to me was the arc of Brie, Michelle, and Rachel's journey, because all of them were broken up with, yet they all found closure and all have grown and matured since their breakup. And I don't think no one more than Rachel, who personally I thought she was kind of dry and uninteresting early in the season, yet now she seems to have a lot more character and personality now that she has been exploring her own race and others. But in the end, everyone was hurt, but the women have healed and are finding ways of healing. And I think so is Matt, but he seems stuck and unable to engage others the way that others are able to engage him. And he started this journey looking for love, but is now lost or is trying to find himself again, or maybe for the first time. Whereas the women came in looking for love and ended up finding so much more. It's very poetic.
I love.
Speaking of so much more, Piper James, I got so much more for us if you would just holler at me. Peace.
Piper James, holler at Josh from Boston. Can we get that? Can we get the little campaign for you, Josh? Thanks so much. You know what would be poetic is if you and Piper ended up dating and you invited me to the wedding. You invite Tasha and Dave to the wedding. We'll come out there. It'll be poetic. Thank you so much for the phone call. You're always offering so much insight. I really appreciate you. Let's keep it in Boston and talk to our next caller.
From Boston, Massachusetts. I think it's awful what they're doing to this girl. I mean, how old was she when she went to it? Did you know if you went to a party what the old self was? Because I don't, and I'm in my 50s. So that's all I have. Bye.
Thank you, Deb. No, you're not forced to identify issues until you're presented with them. But it is not an excuse. But it is an explanation. Ignorance. Let's go to Yasmin. Boone made an appearance. Licking himself. Oh, Yasmin right here.
Hi, my name is Yasmin, and unfortunately I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I'm trying to get out the Midwest, but honestly, I'm giving my opinion about Rachael Kirkconnell. I don't think she's racist, but I think she's racially ignorant. She's been living in a bubble all her life, and she definitely needs to do a lot of research and a lot of, self-reflecting, probably spend some time with her spirituality. So yeah, I don't think Matt should forgive her. That's not his job to educate someone who's ignorant. But yeah, so I don't think she's racist, but I think she's racially insensitive and ignorant. Thank you. Goodbye.
If you're ever feeling bad, you can just pet your dog or watch me pet my dog and you'll probably feel better. He's a nice little stress ball of fluff. Yasmin saying she's trying to get out of Kansas. Get out of there. Speaking of the Midwest, let's keep it in Illinois, that small town of Chicago.
Janet from Illinois again. I went and got
Emmanuel Acho's book. Bless you. And that Harvard study on implicit bias, I highly recommend it. Everybody go take it. There's a whole bunch of surveys in there. I found out I do not have implicit bias against black and white. I found out I do have implicit bias against gays and straight, and that I actually favor gays. Now that's really weird because I've been a heterosexual my whole life, so that's really weird. Anyway, but there's a whole bunch of surveys in there, and you can find out if you have implicit bias, and highly recommend it. Love your show. Bye.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm not one of those people that says everyone's got a bias, but it must be interesting because how do you take these quizzes? Like, how do you know what you're in? Whenever I take like a personality quiz, I'm always like, I always feel so many different things. I wish there was just like someone who could just tap in my brain and tell me like, Dave, you got a bias against straight men with stronger muscles. I don't know, whatever. All right, Kristen in Maryland. Here we go. Oh, I can't play that. It's too long. Sorry, we're keeping it under a minute, folks. Have to do it.
Hello, Dave. My name is Anita. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I just want to leave you a message. I want to be on your YouTube party for the Bachelor. Okay? All right. Thank you.
All right. It's at 1 p.m. today. It's only in a couple hours. It's live in 3 hours. Come join us for the 5-hour chat. Kayla in Idaho, what's happening?
Hey, Dave. This is Kayla from Idaho, and I was just wondering if anyone else noticed that Chris Harrison had introduced Emmanuel Acho after the final rose. I thought that was just really weird. So he's kind of still employed. So bye.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it's weird, but you have to understand, like, with the theater of it all. Thank you for your feedback. With the performance of it all, you're trying to introduce a new person. And part of that is if the outgoing person or the person stepping aside can say, and here's Emmanuel Acho, everyone give him the respect. I think that might not have been an introduction for you, but it might have been an introduction for the people that go, I ain't going to watch unless Chris Harrison. Well, Chris Harrison introduced the show, so I guess I can watch. You know what I mean? So who knows? All right, here we go. Colorado. Thank you for the phone call.
Hi, Dave. I'm calling from Colorado in reference to After the Final Rose. Rachel can do all the performative work she wants. However, in order to see that, for Matt to see that she's really out there doing change, she needs to join some groups. Basically, some of the groups actually that she humiliated basically by posting those pictures. So she needs to get out there and do the physical work, not just the performative work. She needs to do the physical work as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. And I know she's talking to people like she's got some different mentors, but you're absolutely right. Get out there, march in the streets. And I wonder if some of that's due to COVID or some of it's due to, the NDAs where like they're not allowed to tell their story. But now that the season's over and COVID's hopefully going in the right direction, let's get out there and do the work. Right, guys? Colorado.
Hi, Dave. I'm calling from Colorado. I'm calling about...
Oh, I think I just did a double play. Yeah, that was a double play there. So let's go to Pensacola, Florida.
Hi, Dave. I'm calling from Pensacola, Florida, and I just want to give some insight on the Old South thing as someone from the South, that's a normal thing. It's a formal for the KA fraternity. My dad was a KA. I always wanted to go to Old South growing up, just seeing the pictures of like the cool dresses and stuff. Like everybody wants to go to Old South because of that, like because you get to wear the cool dresses. It has literally nothing to do with slavery at all. It's the antebellum South, which means that yes, there were slaves, but like it's not whitewashing things out of history. It's just that's a part of history. People watch Bridgerton, which was filmed. It's supposed to be taking place pretty soon after it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand. I can see how she would be portrayed as ignorant, but how can she be in love with a black man and be racist? That's a stupid thing to say.
Well, we've already said you it's a bad argument to say how could someone be racist and be in love with a black man. That's a bad argument. That doesn't always line up. It's not like you don't get a pass for being in love with a black person for not being a racist. And with response to the Old South, this is a lot of information that's new to me. But from what I've read, there's just been plenty of like PR campaigns to make it like the Old South, the good times, the things that were fine. And as Rachel Lindsay has said, well, what would I represent there? So while for you it might be like putting on pretty dresses, it wasn't a pretty time. So you got to take away the whole like pretty time aspect of it. That's glorifying a past. And as people have mentioned, antebellum means before the war. So before the war, there was slavery. So I'm not saying that whole time period you can't remember, but the idea of celebrating it is that's the conflict that people have. I hope you understand that.
Dave, it's Megan from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey, Megan.
And I just started watching your show, and I love it.
Thanks.
I just wanted to bring up the point how Hannah Brown said the N-word on a live stream on Instagram while she was like 24. I'm not sure how old Hannah is, but she's old enough to know better.
For sure.
And had a platform. And Matt didn't respond as coldly to her as he is doing to Rachel. Now, I do understand that Rachel is somebody that he loves in a different way. But Rachel was an ignorant college girl doing what she did, dressing up in the antebellum dresses and everything. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on why do you think he's being so cold now to something that, in my opinion, doesn't seem as serious to saying the N-word.
Thank you
Bye.
so much for the phone call. I appreciate it. Megan in New Orleans, Louisiana. They're coming from New Orleans. I don't think we know for sure that Matt James is being cold. Yes, he did look cold in his responses, but that stoicism might have just been him protecting Rachel. For all we know, we don't know where that came from or his headspace in that moment. The pressure to have an answer right away. I mean, they need to shoot these things and be like, it would be nice if Matt James was like, I'm going to answer your question. I'm just going to go get a glass of water first. You're ever in a fight with your fiance or someone and you're like, I don't want to come off the wrong way, so let me just go walk the dog and then we'll talk because I just need to... You know what I mean? They don't give you the opportunity to do that in this pressure cooker of a situation. As far as Hannah Brown's concerned, Matt James wasn't a verified person. He wasn't. He didn't have his platform he has now, so he didn't have to answer for Hannah Brown. And of course, Hannah Brown is not somebody he might be having kids with, and that's a big part. It's one thing for a friend to do something so ignorant, and I don't know if you want to call Hannah Brown racist, but obviously she should have known better. She was drunk on her Instagram live and was singing along to a song and said the N-word in the song. I mean, I don't know. What are you, Hannah? I mean, yeah, that's not that. There's no defending that.
I have something to ask. So they had cut out conversations with Rachel and Matt regarding race, and it was shown that they were talking about it, and then it wasn't a part of the show. It's just weird. What's the narrative that they were trying to? Why did they not want to air that footage? Wondering your opinion. Let me know.
Great thoughts. No, so from a productive standpoint, I know this is going to be a long episode here, but I want to get through all these voicemails because it's so important that if people do want to listen, that we talk this out. From a production standpoint, it could have very well been that they were short on time. They wanted to just snip things and change things. The sinister thought is that they didn't want the storyline of Rachel being somebody. They thought, oh, we have a gold mine here. Rachel's going to be the racist. We'll talk about that. Well, if we air the part where she says she's not a racist, then we kind of lose kind of our angle. So that's the sinister side. So it could have been sinister. It could have been just editing time-wise. It could have been a little bit of both. And I'm not really sure, but obviously the Bachelor fan base is going to notice all of these things. Karen called in. Karen, I couldn't play your voicemail because I'll just play 5 seconds, but you'll have to understand the background noise is so tough for people to hear. So I'm going to play 5 seconds of it.
Dave, I resent the idea that everybody's afraid of me.
So just so you can hear, you have to pause or mute the background noise, and then I can play you. But I can't, Karen, I just can't play you if there's a bunch of background noise. It's impossible to hear.
Hi, Dave. This is Tiffany. I'm from California.
Hi, Tiffany.
I was just calling in to share some information. If you happen to watch the podcast Vial Files from Nick Vial.
So I'm just going to cut your voicemail short because we covered this, and I think I actually uploaded my video about this right after you posted this voicemail. So we covered the fact that Bree wasn't there and wasn't able to, or she was there and they didn't play that also. Absolutely. Let's go to Oz over here.
Hi, this is the sheriff. I just wanted to leave another voicemail regarding the Bachelor. I've just been trying to detox my brain watching Netflix the last couple days. But I just want to say that I thought Matt's mom trying to transfer her trauma on from her relationship is kind of the wrong thing to do. You can't transfer your trauma onto your son about your failed relationship. I think that's wrong. But yeah, I just think this whole season was a gigantic failure, and I look forward to the live stream at 1 p.m. and the pizza. So thanks everyone, and okay, bye, take care.
Oz, everybody, our moderator. Oz does an amazing job. Thank you so much, Oz. And we have that pizza party in 3 hours. Can't wait to have a slice with everybody.
This is Darshawn calling from Arkansas.
What up, Darshawn?
Hey, guys, I want to let you know that your words, actions, and relationships are a true indication of your heart. We've all noticed that Matt James, he leads with his heart, which makes him make the best decision for himself, and rightfully so. And, Dave, these are some shots being fired at you. I would like to say the same thing for you and your engagement. If I recall correctly, you've been engaged for 7 years.
No.
Don't waste this young lady's youthfulness. You can't keep on stringing her along. In the words of my father, you can't keep on test driving the car and bringing it back. At some point in your life, you have to take ownership. You guys have a good evening. Peace.
Thank you, Darshan, for the call. You are not correct. We've been engaged for just over a year. We just celebrated our 7-year dating. I would caution you to get involved in other people's business without knowing the facts. I do appreciate your phone call, and I do take slight offense to it because you know nothing about my relationship. And my relationship's going great, and we're in a place where we're committed and we've felt married. I don't know. You called from Arkansas, right? So actually, Tasha's from Kentucky. So we've driven through Arkansas a few times in our cross-country trips. Love Arkansas. Love the Greasy Spoon Diners. Good food in Arkansas. The Ozarks. Is that Ozarks, Arkansas? No, Ozarks is... Anyway, I digress. Point is look, man, I appreciate the phone call and where you're coming from, but you've projected a lot of thoughts onto my relationship that are not true. We're in a very happy place. Thank you so much. All right, we're down to our final. Oh, I thought we were down to our final 3. There's 5 left. Let's go to our final 5.
Hey, Dave. This is Carla from Ohio. I'm so glad you're taking calls because I really enjoy hearing the different perspectives. Anyhow, I've heard a few people mention that apparently there weren't thorough background checks done on the women because Rachel shouldn't have even made it through. What about Matt? What was done to make sure he was ready to be the Bachelor? And in fact, through the entire season, he talked about the brokenness because of his parents and his fear of the same thing happening to him. And he even stated that, once his previous relationships had gotten to a certain point, he had ended them. So clearly he had a block when it came to relationships and all that it entailed, including commitment and emotional awareness and maturity. And even more importantly, or most importantly, being aware of what the other person is going through and how to be there for them. So based on all of that, how can any of us be surprised at how he treated Michelle or Rachel or any of the contestants for that matter? Anyhow, no matter who he ended up with, I don't think it would have ended up in a proposal or a marriage. I think the moment things get tough for him in a relationship, he freezes and bails. So anyhow, thank you for taking my call. Love the show. Bye-bye.
Carla in Ohio, thank you so much. It's a great point. They did a lousy job of vetting on all fronts. Absolutely great point. Jacqueline in Toronto.
Hi, Dave. This is Jacqueline calling from tropical Toronto.
Wow.
And 2 things real quick. 1, you are the most patient, calm, understanding, empathetic person I have ever heard of on a public platform. So kudos to you, and I love how you're able to stay so level-headed with all of the various comments that you get. Point number 2,
thank you.
Emotions are not rational. So everyone has to stop saying what Matt should have done, because Matt can't even control what he should have done.
Good point.
We love who we love. We can't always rationalize it. And so, but it's interesting to hear all the different perspectives. That is it. Tropical Toronto out.
Tropical Toronto out. Great call. Thank you so much. Not just because you were really nice and complimenting me, but yeah, it is wild. I mean, it's sometimes like I wasn't going to make this video because I was like, oh, do I want to hear a bunch of people talk? Because I love most people, but then in a Darshan, I'm using you as an example. I'm sure you're a great guy, but it's like, oh my gosh, here I am taking phone calls, and next thing you know, I'm defending my relationship. Oh, we had such a good dinner last night. We went to Colombia food because our first like real international trip was to the beautiful country of Colombia, and one of the cities we went to was Cartagena, which is the most amazing Caribbean city in the world. It is so amazing. So we actually thought, well, maybe we should get married in Cartagena. And then I was thinking we should start vlogging the process. So I think I might make a separate vlog channel just so I can like completely separate the two, so people that want to watch the vlogs can, and people that don't have to. But we're having such a good time. We're having such a good time in our life. We've overcome so much. But we've always came to the table to communicate, and I can't speak for the reactions that Matt James is having to these sorts of issues. God knows I've never had to deal with any of these like divisive issues with my fiance. But like I said, we're just, if anyone's, been involved in our podcast, this app, we just really try our best to show up, to have the conversation when we disagree about things, when we're harboring weird energy. There's not like we're basically like two different pickup trucks, and at the end of the day, we want to help each other get whatever baggage is out of the back. We just want to clear the load because we a lot happens throughout the day, and we try not to bring that burden onto each other. And that's just some advice I can give anyone else out there. Almost done.
Hey Dave, it's Alicia from just north of Toronto,
Tropical.
A little town called Aurelia, Ontario. I was just thinking Matt might have looked so checked out after the final rose because he's just sick of the Bachelor's production, and like he's probably like, they knew about Rachel's accusations the entire time we were filming. Nobody said anything to me, so maybe he's just like, I'm sick of going on stage for them and making them money, and so he just was mentally checked out. Just an opinion. Of course, I have no evidence to back that up, but
good one.
I love your show, and keep doing what you're doing. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, you don't want to be
Careful
so.
You bang.
You hear that one? She says, "Be careful."
Hang up. I'm trying to hang up.
Oh, that's so funny. Don't you hate it when you can't hang up? She says, "Be careful who you bang."
Be careful who you bang.
That's the whole thing. We're trying to make sure we're be careful who we're banging. Speaking of banging, let's bang on these last two voicemails. That's a good theory, though.
Hi, Dave. This is Lana calling from Texas, and I just wanted to say that I absolutely love your show.
Thank you.
And to keep doing the amazing work. I also wanted to share my opinion on the whole Matt situation from the perspective of a person of color.
Please.
I think it's possible that Matt may not be in headspace to educate an ally right now, given how much has happened. And speaking from experience, it can be, kind of emotionally draining, educating allies, honestly. And I think it would make sense for Rachael to have already done her homework and, put in actual work to become more culturally competent prior to dating someone outside of her race, given if she's really in love with Matt and could potentially be the mother of Black children. I could see how Matt would be hugely disappointed that she's coming in blind and ignorant to everything. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully it was short enough, and let me know what you think.
Thank you, Lana from Texas. Speaking as a person of color, you have mentioned that, and you bring up something I don't think too much of, that Rachael will have to raise Black children if she has kids with Matt James, and interracial children. I'm sorry, I don't know if that term's right. I'm trying my best, guys. We're live here, but that's a very interesting point. That if she's not there and Matt might not be in the position. And this is something important for everybody out there. Like, you can't help others if you need help yourself. It's the whole like life raft thing, or the oxygen from the thing. You need to put the oxygen over your own face before you can help your kids, because what good are you if you're just passed out? And I think that's kind of like the point you're trying to make. He needs to do some work on himself. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
This is Beth from Delaware. Dave, I think you are a very warm person who has taught me so much about compassion and being a good human. Thank you for that. You're a lovely person, and I love Tasha too. She seems very nice. And that Boone, Oh my, too cute. But I digress. Congrats on the 25K viewers. You deserve to be heard. I love you and your show. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. And in response to your voicemail and to everyone's voicemails, I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you for showing up in this arena to share your opinion, whether it be the same ones I have or different opinions. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm going to go take the next few hours to relax, clean the office, and get ready for today's live stream. I'm excited for the live stream where we're just going to celebrate each other. It's going to be a nice 5-hour live stream. Feel free to stop in, say hi if you want. You can leave a voicemail for the live stream, and I will see you guys there. This is finally the end of the 2-part series where, oh, look, we're just at an hour. So this is the end of the 2-part series of playing your voicemails. I never in a million years thought that I would get this many voicemails, especially when I started doing this a couple months ago, and I would only get 3 voicemails a week. So it's amazing. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye-bye now. God bless you guys, and cut that crap. Be careful who you bang, too. Jeez, bump that Harrison on the way up. Bump it.